Example 2, we are going to apply the law of sines to an angle-side angle problem. It says an Earth-orbiting satellite is passing between the Oak Ridge Laboratory in Tennessee and the Langley Research Center in Virginia, which are 446 miles apart, shown here. Here's the Oak Ridge, here's Langley, and they're 446 miles apart. If the angles of elevation to the satellite from Oak Ridge and Langley facilities are 58 degrees and 72 degrees respectively, so from Oak Ridge it's 58 degrees, Langley 72, how far is the satellite from each station? So here's our satellite, and we want to know the distance from the satellite to Oak Ridge and the distance of the satellite to Langley. So the first thing we need in order to do our law of sines is we need to know our third angle, which is angle C here. Since we have these two, we can just subtract them from 180 and get our angle measure for C. So the measure of angle C is going to be 180 degrees minus 58 degrees minus 72 degrees. So the measure of angle C is going to be 50 degrees. And I'm going to put that in my triangle so I can see that that's going to be 50 degrees. And then from here, I'm going to go ahead and solve for each distance. So let's start with the Langley. So if I'm solving to find the distance from the satellite to Langley, I'm looking for little a. In order to find little a, I need another set of sines, so an angle and a side together, which is going to be C here. So I have the sine of 50 degrees over 446 equal to the sine of 58 degrees over little a. Remember, this is the side that I'm trying to find. It's across from the 58 degree angle. So I'm using these two and these two. Then if I go to solve for this, let's move this up a little bit, I'm going to cross multiply. And I get a times the sine of 50 degrees equal to 446 times the sine of 58 degrees. And then my last step would be to divide by the sine of 50 degrees on both sides. So A is going to equal 446 times the sine of 58 degrees, all divided by the sine of 50 degrees. And that will give us A to be approximately 493.74 miles. Then what we need to find is we need to find the distance for the Oak Ridge. So let's do Oak Ridge over here. So for Oak Ridge, that's this distance here. So I'm going to use these two and these two. So I know I have the sine of 50 degrees over 446. And now I'm going to set it equal to the sine of 72 degrees over little b. Cross multiply, I get b times the sine of 50 degrees equal to 446 times the sine of 72 degrees. And then I want to divide both sides by the sine of 50. So b is going to be equal to 446 times the sine of 72 degrees, all divided by the sine of 50 degrees. Make sure that you're plugging these into the calculator so that you're checking to make sure what you're plugging in is actually correct and that you're plugging things in correctly. If I plug this in for B, you should get about 553.72 miles. So here's my answer for the distance of Oak Ridge, and here's my answer for the distance to Langley. If you have questions, let me know.